like how festive will we feel in November and December? What are those weeks going to be like?
Yeah, that's where two very different possible Thanksgivings ahead of us.
Right. 2020, we were all stuck at home. And so in 2016, just, I think we all had a kind of psychological shell of protection around us that what we didn't want to happen could not be. And then it was what happened. And so now we know that shell's gone. Like, there's no protective layer of psychological atmosphere to protect us from the radiation of this election that's just hitting us and breaking up the DNA in our fucking bodies. Anyway, I'm doing great. Welcome back to What a Weekday. I'm Jon Lovett. I'm here with Kendra, Hallie, and Lazarus.
Hi.
Hello. I'm seeing so many Nazi rally clips.
Yeah, we got a lot to get through. It is the home stretch. Yes, I would say this is it. This is the exhausted, dispirited, broken fucking final home stretch before we get to the end. But we have to just feel those feelings. That's how I'm feeling. Just like they're real. And then power the fuck through, I guess.
Do you want to share how you feel about the election?
I feel hopeful. I do. I don't think it's a false sense of hope, but I also don't think it's a hope that would be shocked by the fact that we lost either. It's a feeling like we are doing everything we are supposed to be doing. That, I guess what the feeling is there will be, if we do not win, there will be recriminations and finger pointing and blame and all of the awful consequences politically of losing and what it means and how we learn from it. But where I'm at right now is we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Kamala Harris is doing what she's supposed to be doing. She is running an excellent campaign. She is on message. She has great surrogates. They have a great organization. Is it perfect? Of course not. But no campaign is ever perfect. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is running a terrible, meandering, chaotic, off-message operation, blundering in the home stretch. So if we lose and Donald Trump wins, it won't be because we didn't understand the threat. It wouldn't be because we didn't do everything we could. It wouldn't be because we didn't try to put in place a candidate that would give us the best chance of victory. It'll be something deeper and something darker. And we'll have to confront that and we'll have to deal with that. But I just want to make sure I'm saying that in this final period of time because we don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want us to pretend after the fact that we should do all this kind of lashing and blaming. We have to convince this country not to choose Donald Trump. But that choice is laid bare now. That choice is before us. And if we do, that's a terrible, terrible thing. And by the way, it's a terrible thing even if we win the popular vote but still lose in the Electoral College because someone like Trump should have never gotten this close. But I think, like, regardless, right now, we have 7 days. I actually think at this point it's less up to Kamala Harris and all the Senate candidates and all the House candidates. It's actually up to us as individuals and how we use the next 7 days. And that's it. That's how I feel about it.
I think we should pick one person whose fault it will be if we lose.
Yeah, we should. Let's find somebody who...
Just out of a hat. Doesn't have to be someone on the campaign.
Maybe we just throw the 3 judges on The Masked Singer into a hat and
I'm fine with that. But first, let's get into it. What a weekday. At his rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday, the Trump campaign delivered its closing message.
There's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there.
I really think it speaks to the laziness of this, that the intro into the joke is, there's a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And then when everyone groans, he says, we're getting there. It's like, that is that's the laziest club. There's nothing. There's no segues. There's no thought behind any of this.
A lot of attention has been obviously paid to how the joke is offensive and racist. The structure of the joke really bothers me, in part because islands don't float. That's, I think, a misconception from childhood. I remember when I was a kid, I thought continents were land but that islands floated, that's what an island was. It was a floating piece of land. I didn't understand that it all connected.
Like an ice
And
cube.
that's fair for a 5-year-old.
Right, yeah.
I get that.
The mind of a child.
There's a floating island of garbage. He's talking about the Pacific garbage. It's a misdirect, right? There's the Pacific garbage patch. It's a floating island of garbage in the ocean. That's true. It's the Pacific garbage patch. Oh, no, he's talking about Puerto Rico. But Puerto Rico isn't a floating island. David, it's not a floating island. A Trump campaign insider told reporters that Tony Hinchcliffe had also originally had a joke calling Kamala Harris a cunt until a staffer asked him to kill it, which suggests that the campaign saw and approved his other jokes about Puerto Rico, black people, Jews, and Palestinians. The Trump campaign would like you to know that it does have a line and that it is simply invisible to the naked eye. But don't worry, after Hinchcliffe, all of the Madison Square Garden speakers were perfectly normal. Here's Grant Cardone.
She's a fake, a fraud. She's a pretender. Her and her pimp handlers will destroy our country. This election has to be more than a victory. It needs to be a landslide. We need to slaughter this other people.
Yikes. Hey, let's bring that comedian back out here. By the way, we're watching this in the studio, and David is watching in real time. And when this guy got to pimp handlers, he recorded. Whoa. You just pimp handlers. Jesus Christ. I'm reading it. Yeah, David, we're seeing, like, this is why Kamala Harris in the debate says go watch his rallies. This is why at the Kamala Harris rallies, she's showing clips of Donald Trump. People are not seeing this shit. And the great news is that this rally was so fucked up that it's actually breaking through. Because when people see this, they recoil from it.
One of the things that I worry about even after we are successful next week, all of these people who I have never heard of before. Elle magazine did a profile yesterday of Jessica Krause, this MAGA mommy blogger who apparently just has millions and millions of followers. Never heard of her. Never heard of Tony Hinchcliffe. Never heard of this guy who's speaking. And it's like we have these whack-a-moles that we're going to have to deal with who have audiences that I just didn't realize are listening to these people.
Yes, I think that's actually a very, very good point, which is we'll talk about it, but there's this debate of like, should Kamala Harris go on Rogan? By the way, we learned today that Kamala Harris offered to go on Rogan. She offered him an hour and that he would have to go to her, which is a completely fucking reasonable thing for Kamala Harris to offer. What?
We think that's what she did with
right,
Call Her Daddy.
That's basically what she did with I can
Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy. I'm sorry. I'm really at the end here, mentally. But that's like any journalist, by the way, would kill to have an hour with Kamala Harris and would go anywhere to get the opportunity. But Rogan is like, oh, I think it would be much better to have it be 3 hours and in my house. Yeah, man, totally. But if you want the conversation is there to be had. Have 1 hour. Maybe in the future you'd have another. It's a completely like reasonable position for the Kamala Harris campaign. By the way, after days of reports that she doesn't want to do it, she's refusing to do it. And it's like they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. That is such a completely fair request and compromise.
You guys want to hear a joke I just thought of?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is a cunt. She'll see you next Tuesday at the polls.
Oh! wait, high five me. Yeah!
If you thought of it earlier, I could have done that joke.
Sorry.
You would have changed the
people
wording
would think
and
it was
fucked it
me.
up.
Yeah, I would have changed. I would have fucked it up.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
We know you.
Anyway, after that speaker, all the remaining speakers were perfectly normal.
I don't know. I'm not going to do conspiracy, and I'm not going to do conspiracy. But it's kind of funny that they tried everything else, and now they're trying to kill him.
All right, everybody, we got to give Rudy a break here. He had to give his apartment to those poll workers, and ever since he's been sleeping at the Carlisle. I'm sorry. He's been sleeping in Lyle's car. Wow. Speaker after speaker repeated this language, that they tried to kill Donald Trump. It's interesting to note that now even Republicans are referring to themselves using they, them pronouns. America's mayor also added this.
There's no place in America the president shouldn't be able to come.
No, thank you, said Melania. We yesterday on Pate America we used this because there's that moment, there's that clip of Kamala Harris saying do not come, and then there's Trump saying I'm gonna come, and we added this. It's getting Baroque. I like it. We also heard at this rally from this guy.
In fact, she is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist.
So weird. Usually when you hear somebody in Midtown screaming that Kamala Harris is the Antichrist, they're on the C train. Even Stephen Miller slithered out to join the fun.
America is for Americans and Americans only.
Stephen Miller knows something about this. His ancestors came over on the Mayflower with all the other Jews. Tucker Carlson laid the groundwork for another big lie if and when Trump loses the election.
It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal.
Buddy, you could have stopped after it's going to be pretty hard to look at us. It's already hard to look at you, and it's going to continue to be.
Hey, when did he stop wearing a bow tie?
He stopped at some point when he switched to primetime in Fox, or when he switched over to Fox.
Oh,
He's been off the bow tie train for a while.
It makes me think about how after he was elected the first time, they kept accusing us of being in a bubble. And seeing this, it's like, I don't want our bubbles to touch again. Like, our bubble's so good. Please. Like, I don't want this bubble infecting everyone else's bubble.
Well,
Billy Joel wrapped up his residency before this happened. He's not going back.
I mean,
this man's in a bubble. This is a terrible
this is a
bubble.
horrific bubble.
This is a horrible, like Kendra was like
crazy
Samoan.
in there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the bubble smells. Yeah, it's a lot of cigar and Old
tan.
Spice and spray
Meat
tan and
farts.
medical.
I've never heard Samoa
Yeah.
or Malaysia. Like,
at some point in this speech, he makes some point about how like Donald Trump has given Tucker his freedom because it's his freedom to tell the truth, and I guess this is his truth, right? The truth being that it is inconceivable that because like we all know, it's like don't we all know that that Kamala is fundamentally unimpressive and everyone's pretending otherwise because she's a woman of color. We all know that. That's obvious to us, and it's obvious to everyone. And so because of that, if Kamala Harris wins, it will only be fraudulent. Several speakers later, at long last, it was time for the maniac of the hour.
And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. And
man, I wish the other side would go crazy when he said that. I feel like we mostly go to the kitchen and stress eat a piece of jerky. Trump's speech also had this ominous moment about a little secret he shares with House Speaker Mike Johnson.
And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
I hope it's that they're fucking. Anything else is terrifying. We're going to talk about whether, it's been a week of sort of ominous signs, right? That's ominous, right? We don't know exactly what they're talking about. Maybe they're talking about how they have a secret polling showing that they're going to win the House. Who knows? They're going to drop money on some races. But it could be that they are talking about the fact that Mike Johnson could still be Speaker on January 6th and that he could, with other Republicans, stand in the way of certifying a legitimate election. I don't know if that's what Mike Johnson means and Donald Trump means. We just don't know. But let's never find out. And the way we never find out is by making sure we win the House. Because if we win the House, and I hope people know this, if we win the House, the new House takes office on January 3rd, which means if we can take the House back, then Mike Johnson is not the Speaker on January 6th. Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker on January 6th. So if you saw this and that gave you a little terrible feeling in the pit of your stomach, right? And and we should be listening to our bodies, then everyone should be doing everything they can to win the House. John, Tommy, and I, over the weekend, we went up to 3 districts that surround LA for Dave Min, Derek Tran, and Will Rollins. around Los Angeles, there are 3 very close House races that could determine control of the House. You are listening to this in California, in New York, really anywhere in the country. You are probably within a short drive to one of these swing House races. So obviously we need people in the 7 swing states for the presidential. We need people to help win these close Senate races. But you can also help in these House races where you will absolutely make a difference. Some of these House races could be determined by dozens or hundreds of votes. So if you can jump in this weekend to knock on doors, if we win the House, we never need to find out Mike Johnson's other secret besides the fact that he was in a masturbation app with his son.
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really brings us back.
So many other terrible things have happened.
Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and Tim Walz, who joined forces for a Twitch live stream on Sunday, play Madden and hopefully win over young progressive voters. Walz even partook in a little John Madden cosplay. I'm sorry, that's just how he looks. Things got off to a rocky start when AOC had her entire defensive line kneel during the national anthem.
That's our girl.
She also showed off her Stardew farm. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Birds.
During the stream, the pair actually watched Hinchcliffe's Racist Tight 5 and had the same question we all did.
Who is that jackwad? Who is that guy?
Actually, I think that's Tony Hinchcliffe.
I hate to think of Tim Walz having to find out who Tony Hinchcliffe is. He should be using those neurons to remember how to weatherproof a shed or what different kinds of pigs are called. Louisville Oinkers, Des Moines Fatback, Lincolnshire Curly Coat. That last one's real. Said AOC.
When you have some a-hole calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you. That's just what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. It's what they think about the people who serve them food in a restaurant.
There are hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans in battleground states that need to send them a message on this.
I want them to
you gotta vote.
Roll that. I want everyone in Philadelphia to see that clip.
Now, how do we get that clip to the top of every lamppost in that city? Hinchcliffe responded to their critique on X, and his defense was, these people have no sense of humor. I love Puerto Rico and vacation there. I make fun of everyone. I'm a comedian. Might be time, Tim, to change your tampon. Hinchcliffe saying I vacation there is a world-class defense. I can't be racist. Some of my best Cabana boys are Puerto Rican. AOC responded to Hinchcliffe. We're in a back and forth here saying you don't love Puerto Rico. You like drinking pina coladas. There's a difference, which we loved. We liked that part of the response.
Got him.
Following the rally, Puerto Rican artists, including Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez, posted Harris's Puerto Rico pledge to their social media, publicly throwing their support behind Kamala on the day that Kamala coincidentally outlined her plan for Puerto Rico. It couldn't have been more perfectly timed. And as Republicans denounced the comments and J.D. Vance was forced to respond, and reports of these comments making a difference for voters in the home stretch, I realized a comedian's bad joke could save this country. And it wasn't going to be mine.
We're sorry.
Well, it's nice not to put the pressure on yourself.
Our jokes are too good.
While the Trump campaign was driving one message, the Harris campaign was driving a different one in Texas. Harris was joined on stage by a group of Texas OBGYNs and medical professionals horrified that Donald Trump continues to boast about overturning Roe.
So let me be clear about one thing. There is no place for Donald Trump in my exam room.
Said Trump, but what if I stay in the corner and promise to be really quiet? I won't be quiet. I'll interrupt your sonogram to talk about how a doctor once told me I had the most beautiful ear canals he'd ever seen. He's not going to stay quiet in the corner during your sonogram. He's going to talk to you. He's going to have opinions. Ugh. But of course, the draw at that event was Beyonce herself.
I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother.
It's a great line, but people were less excited when she announced that instead of performing a song, she would be taking the stage to cut grapes into tiny pieces.
Choking hazard.
It is amazing the difference in terms of what these two campaigns were doing over the weekend, because you have Trump with a long, kind of meandering conversation with Joe Rogan. You have this awful event at Madison Square Garden. And then on the other side, you have Beyonce. You have these events about reproductive freedom. You have Michelle Obama giving one of the best campaign speeches I've ever seen. That I hope people, if you haven't seen the Michelle Obama speech, You should watch it, and then you should take clips from it and send it to people in your life, because I do think the Joe Rogan conversation was a good forum for Donald Trump. He seemed charming and affable. And if you're a person who's not paying attention to politics, I do think seeing Donald Trump for 3 hours shooting this shit with Joe Rogan does make it harder to convince that person that Donald Trump is the menace we know him to be. And I do think rhetoric like, oh, he's a fascist, is probably less effective than helping people understand in detail what Donald Trump is going to do. But if you put Michelle Obama's argument, heartfelt, policy-driven argument about the stakes and the emotions that people are feeling and why this election matters to her and to women, and you put that up against 3 hours of shooting the shit with Joe Rogan, I think Michelle Obama wins that argument, and that's my hope. Meanwhile, late last week, the Washington Post announced it would not endorse a candidate for president in the election, and then the paper reported that the Post owner, Jeff Bezos, personally blocked the paper's planned endorsement of Harris, which was already drafted. Bob Woodward must be rolling in that grave being Ivana's, to find out what's going on in there. Doing an investigation.
Good luck, Bob.
After the story broke, the Post audience, already hanging on to sanity by their fingertips after another week of Trump saying things like, folks, I will kill Moo dang beautifully, and the polls remaining locked at 48-47 in every swing state, absolutely lost it. As of Monday, 200,000 people had canceled their digital subscription to the paper, 8% of the Post readership. Said a representative of the New York Times, we stand by our editorial standards and, excuse me, this isn't about us? Are you sure? This sort of thing is usually about us. In response to the fracas, Bezos published an op-ed in the paper he owns denying reports that he made a deal with the Trump campaign, explaining that he believes editorial endorsements only reinforce an impression of bias, though he admitted the timing was not ideal. This all led to a debate about preemptive compliance to fascism. In other words, are we seeing wealthy elites like Bezos and Jamie Dimon and others refusing to criticize Trump or endorse Kamala because of fear of retribution in the event Trump wins? Which I think is an actually completely legitimate concern, and it's more than a concern. It's a fact. That is happening. It is undeniable. Republican officials have told us that they fear not just criticism, but the threat of violence if they speak out against Trump. We have seen it over and over again. It's one of the reasons Liz Cheney and Mark Cuban seem so lonely out there. But the answer to that concern is focusing in these last few days on defeating Trump, and a debate about an endorsement, which, as Bezos actually correctly points out, probably won't swing any votes, is a sideshow, because all canceling the Post does at this point is punish the Post reporters who are not responsible for this decision. Reporters who do excellent work, including excellent work reporting on the threat posed by Donald Trump. We all feel dispirited. We all feel exhausted. We need to point those feelings to productive ends in these last 7 days. Like getting into fights with our partners over whether Parmesan has lactose and eating all the Halloween candy before the trick-or-treaters arrive. Home stretch. Everybody. This is it. And that's our show. Thank you to Hallie, Sarah, and Kendra. 7 days left. VoteSaveAmerica.com. Do something right now. Do something this weekend. And we'll see you sluts on Saturday.
It's love it or leave it.